And this is mostly in your letter that you wrote to yourself, right? I'm assuming that's you.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful letter in here. And I want you to read from the part that I start to the end. Will you read it?
Okay.
Don't cry. Or
I
cry.
won't.
Oh, okay. I cry every day. So
So do I.
Okay.
But I'm definitely not going to cry at my own words.
Just like
I know I'm not alone. I know I'm one of many. I know my struggles are not better or worse than anyone else's. They are our own, and they all matter collectively. My letter to September is addressed to the person who is still struggling. I never ever thought that I would get through, but I hope that you know that you're not alone. Please keep going. More importantly, I hope you trust and listen to that voice inside you that tells you there's so much more to discover, and there's so much more to your story, and telling it matters.
Can you talk a little bit about this letter and talk a little more about this letter, and have people reached out to you and said how much like your letter has helped them?
I think in general, I was pretty open with my story on accident when I was 21, and I was on an ongoing mental health journey and process during that time, and I don't think I was ready to share it, but I think 15 years ago is when I sort of made the choice that I could be a little bit more vulnerable, and that's where that letter comes from. And people have really, I think, connected with the vulnerability of that we all have a story to share, and that it is really daunting and overwhelming, but telling it matters because it is the connective tissue that connects you to another human being, and knows that we're very, very similar, and my story might be very connected to someone else's, and that's the thing that could get that next person through. That's what happened with me, where I read an article about a woman who was going through something that I couldn't even put words to, and it was the first time that I realized that I had something that was in the ether of mental health, and I didn't feel as crazy or weird. There was a solve to my problem, even though it wasn't necessarily a problem to be solved. And so I think that made me feel connected to something, and I think ever since I read that letter or that article, I knew that I had to, one day when I found my own recovery, I had to do the same for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes